And I can't even really do this. There's a woman named Megan McArdle. You probably haven't heard of her. If you have heard of her, it's because you somehow have been subjected to one of her columns, or you listen to there's this, like, what is it, like Noriega Complex podcast where they make fun of her a lot. Honestly, I think listening to Chapo make fun of her is the only reason why anybody should have heard of Megan McArdle. But she's one of these incredibly dreary sociopath, bee-brain libertarians. And she wrote this sort of plodding, boring, and also horrifying kind of stealth defense of the Tory government called Beware of Blaming the Government of London for the Tower Fire. And she basically did a whole long thing about speed limits, and it's easy to blame government, but, you know, it's easy to also spend other people's money. And basically what the government is doing is cost-benefit analysis calculations. Basically, she just showed again that libertarians are incredibly boring sociopaths. Interesting sociopaths are like who we were talking about with Anthony LaPaye. Like, if you want to be a sociopath, run a Bolivian drug cartel. Create some stories. Don't write these dreary fucking columns in Bloomberg. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, it's shoddily written. She spends 7 paragraphs on a sort of flight of fancy about speed limit trade-offs, and then gets back to saying, well, maybe they should have had sprinklers and sort of central fire safety at that, but at least they're thinking the right way. It's just a hack job. That's her job. Like,
that's her job.
She was like, if she's not going to respond with this line to a disaster like this, she shouldn't be employed. That's why she's there.
Right. Her job is to spend most of her life promoting and defending policies that will lead to the Grenfell fire. And then when the Grenfell fire happens, and the public is made aware of the horrific consequences of the policies that people like Megan McArdle advocate, then you're supposed to write, actually, she doesn't use the phrase, but essentially a masturbatory, delusional thought experiment column where you obfuscate the issue and say, hey, maybe the housing minister made the wrong call, which is actually literally a quote from it. By
like
not installing a sprinkler. Right. This is what intellectual conservatism is nowadays. It's flights of fantasy, sophomore year thought experiments, all in the service of advancing the same policy sets that you can hear much more directly explained to you by Rush Limbaugh or Alex Jones.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos